Six Nations 2025 Round 2's final game, and Ireland continue their winning run over the Scots with a bonus point win at Murrayfield. Their campaign for a third successive Six Nations title is looking in a pretty decent position with this bonus point win, and for the Scots, not helped by a big collision between Darcy Graham and Finn Russell, which saw both of those guys go off after about a quarter of the game, and with a 6-2 split, made things a little bit kind of uncomfortable for them. But to be fair, they made a lot of mistakes, especially in the first half. Some of them their own doing, and some of them just pure Irish pressure. But certainly, once again, Ireland keep them from performing to that level that we have seen Scotland perform in the past. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Besides good atmosphere, felt each other out pretty early. Bit of a kick and duel. Blair Kinghorn knocked on a high ball though, which led to opportunity number one for Ireland. And the first kind of opening stanza of the game can be summarised, I think, by Irish territorial pressure and kind of Scottish errors, or just being charged down by desperate Irish defenders rushing them and just giving them no space. The knock-on from Kinghorn leads to a scrum. Ireland get immediate penetration from their set play deep into the Scottish 22 from that attack. Loads of phases. Scotland give away a few advantages. They'll maybe rue not contesting a early attacking Irish line-out throw because it wasn't straight, but because Scotland didn't contest it, it's play on. If they had contested it, it would have been Scottish ball because the ref would have ruled that it was not straight. That's kind of captain hindsight call, but it's one area that even despite this win, you still think Ireland look a touch vulnerable. The line out, either with Sheehan or with Kelleher, sometimes just looks a wee bit like you can get some pay there. So Scotland set for the maul. They don't contest in the air, so Ireland get to keep playing. More advantages, which ends with Kelvin Nash, who was a late call up to the side with the injury, keeping Mac Hansen out of the side. Cross kick from Prendergast, 7 points to 0. Cracking start from the Irish. Scotland not being able to get out of their own half. And Scotland conceded a penalty from the restart. Matt Fagerson pushing I think it was Henshaw. Yeah, don't give the referee a decision like that to make. Ireland didn't capitalise on that immediately, but then anytime Scotland got the ball, they knocked it on, staying down their own half. Another handling error puts them under pressure. Then you got Nash and Duhan van der Merwe both chasing a kick through deep into Scottish territory. Duhan trying to stop Nash from potentially poaching a try, just gives him a wee barge, a wee shove, and gets himself yellow carded for it. That one would be maybe if you're a pretty one-eyed Scottish fan, you could defend that one, but it'd be pretty hard. I think that was a pretty fair call. Caelan Doris was even asking if it was worthy of a penalty try. I don't think worthy of a penalty try, but certainly worthy of a sanction. So Duhan van der Merwe gets himself yellow carded. Lucky for him, I guess. They defend pretty well during the yellow card period. Scotland not really, they didn't suffer a huge setback in terms of the yellow card points-wise. They only conceded the 3, which is something of a moral victory if you can keep them kind of scoreless. Ireland did get held up during that yellow card period, but that yellow card period also saw the head collision between Finn Russell and Darcy Graham. It's a pretty sickening one. Darcy Graham had to go off on a stretcher. He's ended up in hospital apparently, so wish him all the best. But Finn Russell also goes off, doesn't come back on, and when you got a 6-2 split, both your back replacements are going to come on. It means it doesn't really give Gregor much in the way of options to bring on back subs in the second half. If you're playing the 6-2 split, you're thinking maybe one of the guys gets injured. But when they run into each other, they both end up having to go off. Scotland do concede another penalty before the end of the yellow card, which the Irish are able to slot. So as I mentioned, they do get some points from the man advantage. When we finally saw some Scotland ball, and we're talking after 20 minutes here, in the Irish half, Peter O'Mahony swooped on the first one to win themselves a steal at the breakdown, and then the Scottish guys just kept getting charged down. They'd been charged down earlier, but then you saw Jordan charged down by Nash, White charged down by Porter. It was brutal. Scotland not that much clicking, and then After a couple of times being held up, the third time Ireland are not going to get held up on 30 minutes. They go close to Prendergast, Ireland, and then Darcy with that bloody leg driver. He is such a hard man to stop. He powers through the Scottish defence, so 17-0. 17-0 with the history between these sides. It's hard to see the Scots coming back, even if they are at home. Although, thankfully for the Scots, they did manage to get at least one try before half-time to just kind of leave the hope alive. I mean, Ireland did concede a penalty, which kind of finally gave the Scots a little bit more kind of territorial pressure. And the try was a good one, but they'd kind of fluffed the early chance. Remember, they'd gone for a maul. The Scots, they got the backs in there, but the maul got stopped. And it's unusual to see Ireland give you a second bite at the cherry. But Ireland couldn't exit from the resulting kind of scrum, and then where they should have been kicking it clear, they conceded a penalty, which gave Scotland that second chance, which they took. I mean, the finish is unbelievable from Duhan van der Merwe. We've seen him do that before. He's a very athletic man for a guy his size. Wide ball, and then the offload from McDowall is a cracker. Hell of a finish. Not converted, but 5 points on the board. But as I said, Ireland don't often give you that second chance, but Scotland did well to take it. So they go into the sheds with the 17-5 deficit, the Scots, but it could have been worse. I mean, Ireland have had more ball, 52%. More territory. Sorry, it's the Scots have had more ball, 52%, but the Irish have had 57% territory. That's the thing. The key one, Scotland's knocked on a few more balls, 7-5. The Irish lineout's 5 from 7, so like I mentioned, a little bit shaky, and that's not including the one that wasn't straight, which got to be played on. So, still looks like an area of potential vulnerability, but then the clean breaks is 4-1 to Ireland. And the Scots have conceded one more penalty, 6-5. So it's a pretty good first half from the Irish. The second half starts, though, with probably the best Scottish period of game. Maybe they continue a little bit of momentum from that first half. I mean, it starts with another penalty conceded from the Irish, which Kinghorn is able to slot this time when they opt for 3 to make it 17-8. And then Dan Sheehan's come on for Ireland, and he gets his first line-out pinched by the Scottish guys. This is what I'm talking about. Put a bit of pressure on at line-out time. Scotland certainly looking a lot sharper. Scotland get a scrum in their own half. You get Hugh Jones with a half break to Kinghorn with the wee show and go. It's starting to look like maybe the comeback's on. Gibson-Park put in a nice tackle on Kinghorn to make sure the move was shut down. And Henshaw had a tackle TMO'd, which if you're a Scottish fan, you'll say he definitely deliberately knocked that on. If you're an Irish fan, you'll say he's definitely just going for the wrap. That's a 50-50, and the ref gives Henshaw the benefit of the doubt, saying that it's not a deliberate knock-on, but Scotland still, from that bit of phases, or that bit of territory, at least able to walk away with 3 points when the Irish guys get themselves offside. So 17 points to 11. 6 points, at the start of the half. Pretty good way to start back. You're back to a one-score game. But not long later, Ireland kind of put the game to bed. They kind of rise to stop that Scottish momentum. It starts with Kinghorn having to take the ball back over his own line under pressure. 5-metre scrum, advantage, phases, and that man, James Lowe, gets himself on the board for Ireland. So, yeah, I feel like that's almost game, and then it was game only a few minutes later. Conan gets a try. Gibson-Park with a nice dink over the top. I think Tom Jordan was injured at that point as well. He was down. So there's another guy missing from that kind of backfield line for the Scottish guys. Keenan's able to get it, gets tackled in the air, advantage, and then Conan powers over. That was game. When Conan scored that try, it's 29 points to 11. Yeah, it was. You feel like too far to come back. I mean, neither side from there was really able to get much flow into the game, but that was suiting Ireland down to the ground because they've already got the bonus point. They got the clock on their side. The game winding down is no skin off their nose. They did extend their lead with the scrum penalty with 10 to play to make it 30-11. Scotland get a consolation try through Ben White. A nice snipe with 5 minutes to go. If they'd gotten one more in those next 5 minutes before the clock went into the red, that might have made it tasty in terms of a potential draw on the cards, but no, it didn't look like the best thing we got in the final 5 minutes was a Pierre, Schoeman, dummy, show and go on Ken Healy, which he bought hook, line and sinker, but he only made it a couple more metres before being tackled. So, pretty good Irish win, man. They make Scotland not look that good a team. Scotland can cut teams to bits. They can genuinely look like one of the most attacking-minded sides in the world with guys like Graham and Russell and Van der Merwe and whatnot, but against Ireland, it just doesn't seem to click. Final stats, possession 60-40. That's actually Scotland having more possession. 69% in the second half, which is unusual. Not many sides out-possession the Irish. It was a big turnaround from the way it was last year, where Ireland had all the ball. But despite that, I mean, the Irish made a ton more tackles, 175-95, but still managed to score 4 tries to 2. It's crazy stuff. They had more clean breaks, 6-3, so Ireland doing more with less. Turnovers conceded for the Scots, 17. Maybe just a bit too high, especially in the first half. You feel like the handling just wasn't quite there. The Irish lineup, like I mentioned, 6 from 10. I still think if there's one chink in their armour, right now, that is it. Like the Scottish one was 13 from 14, which is pretty solid. Individuals, Darge, 17 from 19 tackles is a good shift from the co-captain. Kinghorn, 126 metres, 4 defenders beaten. Dropped a few under the high ball, but still looks attacking-minded as always. Darcy, powerful game, 57 metres from him. Scores himself a try. Henshaw beats a couple of defenders, makes 30-odd metres. Van der Fleer, 19 from 20 tackles. And that man Prendergast pulling the strings of the Irish backline. Missed a few tackles, but generally looked pretty comfortable. Porter made a heap of tackles as well. Prendergast gets man of the match, so not a bad one from him. The Irish are away to Wales next, which is going to be a big ask for a Welsh side on a bit of a low, to put it mildly. And the Scots are away to England, who are a side who they tend to have the wood on in recent times, and will definitely need a win if their Six Nations campaign is going to remain alive. But there you go. That was the game. You guys let us know your thoughts on it. If you want to buy me a coffee or a beer, put a link down in the description there. 4 a.m. wake up. I think it was worth it. What do you guys reckon about this one? It's kind of the same old story. Ireland just too good. And we'll see how both sides' campaigns go in a couple of weeks when the competition gets back underway. You guys take care of yourselves, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.